Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to be changing out the radiator in my third gen 4Runner. This is a 2000 SR5 model. As you can see here, and I do believe that this is the original radiator in this unit, but this radiator is experiencing some discolorization. And if I were to zoom in here on the plastic, on the cap, you'd be able to see almost like cracks in the desert floor. And that's not good, right? So we want to avoid any catastrophic issue here and proactively do some preventative maintenance to replace this radiator. And that's what we're going to be showing you guys how to do. And also, while we're in here, we're going to go ahead and replace the thermostat. That's always a good piece of maintenance to do while you replace the radiator. A little peace of mind to make sure you've done both at the same time. All right, let's get to it. All right guys, so you're gonna need some tools to complete this job. And this is what I have set up for the day, see if it gets me through. I think I've got everything I need here, along with coolant and obviously a pan to catch some of the coolant that comes out. So got some part numbers for you guys. This is specific to my 2000 4Runner. However, it could also be cross-compatible with all third gen models. Safest thing is to either do a VIN search on your part search or look it up yourself online. There's plenty of great resources. So this is the thermostat that we're going to be using, part number 90916030075. I went ahead and purchased a new radiator cap, as you can see here. And this is a very important gasket for the thermostat, part 16325-76010. I'm also going to be using the Toyota Factory 50/50 pre-diluted super long life antifreeze coolant for this job. I picked up 3 gallons for this. All right guys, so underneath your vehicle you're going to have a 2-part skid plate in the front, and you're going to want to remove both of these right off the bat. These skid plates are held on by 12mm bolts, and I'll do my best here to show you exactly where they're located. Coming back to the rear of the 2 skid plate pieces, you're going to have 1 bolt here and 1 bolt on the opposite side. That one is going to also have a bolt here up inside of this hole, and then one opposite of that inside of this hole. Once you remove those 4 12mm bolts, you'll be able to remove that skid plate by pushing it towards the rear of the vehicle. Once those are done, you're going to come up to the front side and you're going to see 1, 2, and 3 12mm bolts that hold on this skid plate, and you can remove it. I'm going to go ahead and do that job now. Something to keep in mind with this front skid plate is when you're removing it, you'll see here on the right side, driver's side bolt, and on the left side or the passenger side bolt, there are these little hooks right here. These hooks help hold it in place, and they seat up inside of a channel. The middle does not have one. So when you undo the bolts, it'll still actually be hanging, mostly on the back side, but it'll be hanging down. You just need to lift like this to release this hook from its channel and pull towards the rear of the car, and you should be good. All right, so what we're looking at here is the bottom of your radiator, and this is where we're going to start. This is the petcock valve here, and as you'll see, there's a little bleeder hole at the bottom of the petcock valve. That's gonna be able to alleviate the coolant from the radiator, and that's where we're going to start. You will also take notice while you're down here that you've got the sender line here, and then you have the return line for your radiator here. So we're going to start by alleviating the fluid and turning this petcock valve, getting this drained out. All right, so there's the petcock valve. We're going to go ahead and alleviate this. And this one was a little stubborn. It took me some time to get it loose. And there we go. Now you do not want to unscrew that all the way. Just leave it to where you've got a nice steady flow. And yeah, let it drain out. Come back later when it's empty. All right, while that is still draining, and you can probably hear it, we're gonna go ahead and work through what Toyota recommends in regards to the disconnecting stage. They're gonna say to disconnect the upper radiator hose, followed by the reservoir hose, followed then by the lower radiator hose. So we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna get this clamp off of on the engine side, and we're gonna remove this clamp as well. All right, we should be good to go ahead and remove both sides. This one is giving me a little bit of trouble here. I'm going to try to get a pry tool and see if I can't get underneath there without damaging the hose. All right, so I've actually got this kind of a body panel tool that I like to use. I got a whole set of those, so we're going to see if this can't help me remove this hose. There we go. I definitely want to keep it that way and make sure that I don't do any damage as I remove them. There we go. All right, from the housing, we're going to remove this carefully. All right, next we're going to get on this reservoir cap. Easy breezy. All right, while that's draining, we're going to work on getting this front grill off. Now there's 7 connection points on this grill. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll see there are 5, 6, and 7. So on these there are plastic tabs that you need to compress with the flathead screwdriver to then pull out. So I've started on the top right connection, and I'm going to work my way across the top to the passenger side, and then I'll go down to the 3 connection points at the bottom. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want to put too much stress on any one connection, and this one has already started to come free, as well as this one. So this might be kind of hard to see, and I'll see if I can zoom in here. There is a little plastic tab right there, right in there, and you see that hole right there. So you take your flathead and you push down just like that, and that's going to move that plastic tab down. When it goes down, apply pressure outward, pulling the grill towards yourself. Very little at a time, I would recommend. These tabs are usually old, could be brittle, and honestly, you don't want to rush it and break something. It's just not worth it. So continue that process all along, and the grill should come out freely. And this is what you should be left with after your grill removal. We're now in the bottom here, and as you may be able to tell, we're just about done draining from the petcock valve. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen the lower radiator clamps and yeah, see if I can't get this loosened up. There we go. Just had to change my position there. All right, that is the upper radiator hose clamp there attached to the thermostat housing. We're gonna replace that thermostat. Let's see if I can get up there and get that off. A little hard doing this while holding the camera. All right, need to adjust here, hold on. All right, got my tool here, and I'm just gonna try to see if I can't work. Let's see. Work in and around and underneath this hose. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm in between the hose right now and the thermostat neck. All right, guys, what I was able to do is I was able to take this bent edge of this body panel, really, it's a body panel tool, and work it with two hands up in between the thermostat neck and the hose. And so just needed a little bit more force than I was able to do while holding the camera. And as you can see, it has it's come free. So we're all set. We're gonna loosen the one on the bottom and take off this hose. All right, so we're at the bottom hose now. There we go. Might make a little bit of a mess here, so I'm gonna close the petcock valve back up since we're fully drained. Give it a wipe. Okay, and we're gonna move this pan that I have here with the fluid in it. All right, so now I've got the pan with the fluid in it underneath, and we're gonna remove this. Yeah, great. All right, so good decision there. We saved ourselves a little bit of a mess, and let's see if we can reach up there now and wiggle the top part free. Yep, all right. And we've got the lower radiator hose free, and next we're gonna work on changing out that thermostat. I'm gonna go ahead and do this now before swapping out the rest of the radiator here. This is your thermostat neck. It goes and connects to your lower radiator hose. This is connected with the three 12mm bolts. We've got one here, and one up under here where my finger goes. We're gonna work on getting those free. All right, so we've gotten the nuts off of the thermostat neck. Again, we had one here, one in this crevice here, and then one below. This one was difficult. I needed to get a certain length extension on this one, and then pay close attention to this belt, and then of course the fan, to not do any damage as you extracted that nut. It did take some time, but it came free pretty easily. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to remove that bracket there that holds that wire loom in place. I'm going to slide it behind the thermostat neck. And then we're going to grab the neck, pull towards the front of the vehicle. Careful with that belt there. And we've got it. All right, you can see the thermostat now, the old one that's in its housing. I'm going to try to get a better shot of it for you guys. So there's the thermostat as it sits. Now, the jiggle valve is that little button-looking thing that's currently around 7 o'clock. Now, Toyota factory recommends that the jiggle valve is installed pointing downward. I'm gonna install mine, the new one, back right around 6 o'clock position, but I'm not too unhappy with where I see this one. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this out. All right, so in order to get this thermostat free from its housing because of that gasket, I'm gonna use some vice grips, and we're gonna see if we can't just encourage it out here. I'm not too worried about damaging it since I have the replacement on hand. There we go. So this actually came out and the rubber gasket stayed in. We're gonna go see if we can get that gasket out. Should be just as easy. Well, let's see if I can't get a flathead screwdriver here. I'm gonna be very careful with this. I don't want to damage anything. There we go. All right, just had to pry and push down, and now we've got it removed. All right, so we've got our new thermostat here. Go ahead and open that up. Okay. And we are gonna go ahead and take our gasket out. Now, the gasket has basically a channel on the inside of it. And that's what's gonna be placed right here. You can seat it along the edge of the thermostat. Make sure that everything is nice and seated before you try to install the thermostat back in. And remember the jiggle valve here, I'm gonna put it at 6 o'clock. Toyota factory says to install it facing downwards. All right, so I've cleaned everything up, and we're gonna try to install this nice and carefully back into the housing. I'm gonna make sure my jiggle valve is where I want it before I push. And it is 6 o'clock right there. We're gonna go ahead and apply some pressure. All right. So we've got it sitting where I want it. And next we're gonna get the neck on there. We've cleaned up the neck a little bit. Took some degreaser and a brass brush here and just kind of cleaned it up. It was looking pretty nasty. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna thread this back down exactly the same way I took it out. I'm going to take a nut here and attempt to finger tighten one on. There we go. All right, now what I'm trying to do here is just get some pressure against it to hold it in place while I get the other two nuts on, and then we'll torque it down. Okay, so as you can see, I've gotten this first nut threaded on here just tight enough to where it holds the assembly in place. And again, there is a bolt right here, my finger's resting on it, and then there is one right here, and those are the two that we need to put on. So I'm going to try to get this one on underneath first. Finger threaded on there. There we go. Okay. And we're going to try to get this one here. And this is by far the tightest working area of any three of the nuts. All right, we've got them on. Now we're going to torque them. So Toyota service factory manual says to torque these 3 bolts down to 14 foot-pounds. All right, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the return and the send lines on the bottom of the radiator. Okay. And while we're down here, before I pull off the hoses or attempt to, we're going to go ahead and get this guy as well. Okay, so we've got these taken off, and I've got a pan down here just in case there is a mess. So as with all my hoses so far, this little guy is definitely wanting to create a bit of trouble. And so we're gonna see if I can't wedge my tool in here, which has been a successful venture so far. I might have to get some vice grips here and massage this thing off. All right, so this basically took 2 hands. One hand to pull while the other hand took the pry bar and worked the connection. And so now we have got it free. Just need to work it off here. There we go. All right, now we're gonna take off this connection point. I've also did the same thing here with my plastic pry tool, just getting in between those connection points and creating, just loosening that connection. Slowly and safely there, guys. Don't wanna damage anything. And this one could be messy. We've got a rag here. Okay, let's see. Yep, all right. All right, we're gonna put the camera down and deal with this mess. All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the fluid reservoir bottle. This is held in place 2 ways. First, there is a, you can see a metal bracket that comes off the body of the car, and the reservoir plastic bottle slides over it. So essentially, when you get this 12 millimeter bolt off here with the that holds in the battery, then you'll be able to either pull on the reservoir bottle straight up, or maybe get a hand down below and push while pulling, just depending on your bottle and how it's in there. All right, so remove that out of the way. I'm gonna try to keep this cap on just because I have coolant in there. And this one might be kind of difficult to do. Yeah, while I'm holding the camera. Let's see if I can put it in my head mount here. All right, now we have both hands here. There we go. All right, and so as you can see, that's where the bracket slides into, and now you've got your bottle free. I'm gonna clean this thing up. All right, so this is a 10mm socket, and you're gonna have 4 of these to remove. 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Bottom one on the driver's side is easy to reach. There's really no obstruction there. All right, we'll just reverse process on the passenger side and then get ready to pull this out. All right, so the lower passenger side one, there's not a lot of room in there for a ratchet, so I just got it loose and then took a deep socket and then hand loosened it off, so that was super easy. And now the fan shroud itself will separate from the radiator, and we just want to sit it off to the side, kind of like that. Let it float here. All right, so we've got 4 bolts holding the radiator in. We've got 1 up top and then 1 down low on each side. And we're gonna go ahead and take those out now. Okay, gonna need to shorten this throw up to get down here. And I'm gonna take this off and just do it by hand. Okay. And this one, a little trickier to get to. Got it. All right. So when you take the 4 bolts out, you'll see here that there are clips that come on the factory radiator. So you don't have to worry about the radiator falling out of place. These clips on the driver's side and the passenger side hold it in place for you. All right. Now to remove the radiator, we just want to lift up and just have to contest here with the fan shroud. And the fan, and there you go. Came out with some gifts. So there's our old radiator, 22 years old. We've got our replacement Toyota radiator here. It is now Denso part 16410-AZ011, made in Taiwan. We're gonna go ahead and take this out and get it dropped into place on the front of the 4Runner. As you can see here, this is the tab on both sides that's gonna fit back in to the body. And I like that feature because you can sit there, have peace of mind, and get the bolts and bolt it in. So we're gonna go ahead and drop the new radiator in. Want to take your time on this and be careful. Just gonna have to move that fan shroud a little bit as you lower it down. All right, we got it. So we've got it seated in there now, and what I'm gonna do is just gently push it forward towards the front of the body to get that radiator seated up against where we're gonna bolt it into. And now we're gonna grab the bolts. Get those put back on. We're gonna start with top right up here. I'm just getting them a little tight to start, and then we'll come back at the end and torque them down once they're all in there. Helps to kind of look over the top here, and you can see the bolt being threaded through. This one's giving me a little bit of trouble. So it looks like this one is just seated a little low. So what we need to do is pull up on the radiator just a little bit. Okay, I got that one a little bit further just because of that issue. All right, got it in the right place, but looks like we might have to lift up on it and find a better way underneath the car. All right, guys, so we're all hooked up on the bottom. One thing I try to do is put these hose clamps back where they were, and it's fairly easy to tell. If you clean your hose up, you can see the indentions on the hose, and that helps just get it right back where it was. We've got the return and the sender lines hooked back up to the bottom. We've got the lower radiator hose hooked back up to the thermostat neck. And now we're gonna go up top and finish hooking up that. Up this spill-free funnel, and I'll leave a link in the description for you guys. It comes with 2 packages here of different attachments that may be specific to your radiator. So you're gonna find the colored attachment. In this case, mine is green. That gasket side goes down. So if you look in here where you fill a radiator, you wanna put that gasket down. Then in this side of the package, you've got different caps that are going to be compatible with your radiator. This is the one that's compatible for mine. So you want to put it down on top and tighten it up. There we go. clamp got in the way. And then what you do is you take your spill-free funnel and you place it right down on there. Now, this is a plunger, and so what we're gonna do is after we fill the funnel with the coolant and let the engine run, when it's done, you can put the plunger back in here, remove this, open up your reservoir cap, which is empty, and fill it into your reservoir cap. As a reminder, we're using the Toyota 5050 pre-diluted super long life coolant. And here we go. This is your friendly reminder here, guys, to go ahead and buy 3 gallons of this antifreeze coolant. Do not just get 2 gallons. You don't want to get stuck in a bad position. Go ahead and get 3. You will thank yourself later. So as we can see, it is now stopped, so the radiator is full. I'm gonna fill just a little bit more in here. And the reason we're doing this is because when we start the engine and run it, as the thermostat opens up and the fluid cycles, it might create some air and some bubbles and fill in the hoses more, so we need some in the spill funnel here to fill it up. For about 10 minutes or so. I had the heat engaged all the way on high, and as you might see in the time lapse, I was just kind of massaging some of the hoses to get the air to go through the system. So now that you've gotten that all done, you should see no more bubbles coming out, which we didn't. You're going to take this plunger and plunge down firmly on the very bottom of this. So you won't have any coolant in your reservoir tank because you would have taken that all out. And now all you have to do is remove this and transport it here and remove the plunger, and you've got it in your expansion tank. So it's a great system. I think definitely worth it, and right on the fill line. Look at that, couldn't have gotten any better. All right, so now we're going to take our cap, put it back on, And so this was not under any pressure because it's not your stock radiator cap. And I do have a new cap here to go on. There we go. And now take that piece off. See which direction this gets on there the right way. There we go. And you're done. There we are. So that concludes a successful radiator and thermostat swap out on my 2000 Toyota 4Runner SR5. This was a fun project, guys, and I hope through watching this video you've learned something that you can apply in your next maintenance of your radiator. This one was a good one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.